Today is a beautiful day to be roofing. This particular job, we are amongst the beautiful trees here in Northern California. We have about 41 squares of roofing material and about 128 sheets of plywood going down. Previous job had installed skip sheeting. We want to go ahead and put a plywood deck down. In this particular case, you see we're going to be throwing down an OSB strand board. So a 4 and 12 pitch makes it nice and easy for us to walk on, as you can see. We do have a slider pitch roof here. That lower pitch roof is a 2 and 12. Industry standard is going to be 2 layers of 15-pound felt with your composition shingles. What we're going to be doing is ice and water shield, 2 layers of 15-pound synthetic felt on top of the ice and water shield, and then we're going to be installing the shingles over the top of that. Nice watertight area. When installing a new roof, it is the prime time to install attic insulation. For a few reasons. One, California requires you to have an R38 or a cool roof. The cool roof in the summertime reflects a lot of the UVs and thermal heat gain away from the house. In our area, R38 makes sense, not just a cool roof, because we also have a lot of heat loss in the wintertime. You do want to make sure that you're installing up to an R38 attic insulation. We're also going to be installing whole house fan, and then 2 solar tubes are going in here as well. It'll be a great project. The homeowner themselves are going to love having the natural light coming in, as well as that whole house fan in the cool evenings. There's a lot that goes into putting a new roof on. You know, it's not just putting down your felt paper and putting down your shingles. It's also figuring out what you're going to do when you come into a roof to wall area. So roof deck into a wall area here. This is your old flashing, but remember, we're going to be putting another plywood underneath here. So that plywood's going to be getting jammed underneath here, and now we have to figure out what to do with the flashing detail. We also are going to be replacing the flashings going around the chimney. Chimney flashings are always notorious for having issues. So you can see your chimney flashings here. This particular flashing here, we're replacing. So the corner, you see a little daylight there. That daylight's letting water in. She was having a little bit of water issue infiltrating in there, so we're going to take care of that. We also are going to be taking care of this satellite dish. We do not like the satellite dishes being connected down directly onto the roof deck to cause for leaks. Also, they just don't look that great. So we're going to put down a solar deck. It's going to lift the satellite dish up off the roof deck, and it's going to be mounted to a steel flashing. So you can see the roof deck itself is completely sheeted. Here we have our titanium UDL 30. This is a synthetic underlayment. So the synthetic underlayments are really nice because they're got good traction for the crew as they're walking. Nice sure footing. We're going to be installing a Owens Corning Duration Estate Gray on this home. And we've replaced some of the V-Rustic underneath any of the dry rotted areas. So these collars, these are to go around the pipe jacks. One way is to get it where the flashing detail itself already has the collar built into it. We like to get it this way so that these collars can be replaced rather than replacing the whole flashing. We will be installing ridge vent. So ridge venting, that's going to allow us to ventilate the whole entire ridge of the home. So as we go through here, we're going to cut this back, this plywood deck back, to give us spacing here so that way the attic itself can ventilate. Here in California, you want to have that good ventilation, convection, cool air lower to the ground. As the hot air rises, it starts sucking in that cooler air, so we want to make sure that we have plenty of soffit venting. We're also going to be pressurizing the attic at times with the whole house fan. So that whole house fan, as it blows, it will pressurize the attic, so we need area for that air to escape. I mentioned we had to go through and replace some of the dry rot, so we will have to put a little bit of paint on there. So we've already resheeted the whole entire house. Tomorrow we're going to be nailing down the perimeter, making sure everything is solid, and then start roofing. So you can see a lot of the roofing's been installed. We also have our satellite dish mount. Thank you, Brendan and Marianne over at Don Adams Satellite, for taking care of this homeowner's place. We had 2 solar tubes installed as well as a whole house fan. Also, both these solar tubes are in bathrooms, and those T-top vents that you see, those T-top vents are actually ventilating the bathroom vents that are part of the solar tube. They have a really unique fan that's a secondary fan, not connected to your ceiling deck. It's actually in the attic, so it's a lot quieter. We're also going to utilize the Hip and Ridge from Owens Corning. It's a great product. The valley flashings that we use here, these are just traditional valley flashings, nice big valley flashings. We use a bleeder, which is the shingle running here, and then we overlap these shingles in the course. You can see that's where that shingle ended up, and it just dies right in. That way it keeps your valley nice and clear of debris so that it's going to function properly. We're all finished up here. Look at how beautiful that color is. Everything on it turned out fantastic. Got this roof done just in time for fall. Nice flashing detail. Made a nice new flashing for this section right here. Here's our flashing detail we spoke about.